So I cut my hair bald recently. This is what I looked like before, and this is what I looked like after I shaved my head. Why did I do this? Just trying out a new look, testing to see if it clears any toxic energy that was there before. Shout out to Spiritual So. Are people going to judge and crack jokes? Absolutely. Do I care? Absolutely not. You see kids, I used to be a mega simp. I hate using that term, and one of my previous videos will confirm that. But it's true, I had major insecurity problems. Never gave myself enough validation and confirmation of my attractiveness. It got to a point where, just out of curiosity, I asked 2 random girls to rate me on a scale of 1 to 10, and you want to know what's funny? They both said I look like a 10. You might think, oh, that's great, it confirms you're good looking. First of all, it doesn't confirm anything, and second, I find that whole situation sad as hell. I didn't have enough self-love to rate myself a 10, and I had to rely on 2 random strangers to give me that validation. Now, I would be lying if I said I didn't receive somewhat of a confidence boost right after, but still, it shouldn't matter what 2 random people think about my looks. This advice is something Kyle needed to hear in the South Park episode, The List, which is also the episode I am going to be talking about today as it relates to the topic of unattractiveness. The story begins with hype going around the school about a list the popular girls made that rates every boy in their class from cutest to ugliest. Kyle is the only one telling the kids to not worry about a stupid list because who cares? But once it is revealed he is dead last on that list, he gets insulted by it.
Dude, it's just a stupid list, remember? I got voted the ugliest boy in the whole class?
To make matters worse, whenever they get the chance, Kyle's quote-unquote friends tease him about his place on the list.
Hey, Kyle! Look, man, it doesn't matter what people think, okay? You know, Abraham Lincoln was super ugly too, but look what he accomplished.
We could argue about whether or not it's right for society to make lists to compare people and to put them in different categories, but that's not as important as this main point I'm about to make. It's obvious we all have our personal biases, and that's fine for the most part. We all have our type, if you will. But what I really want you to pay attention to is how Kyle responds to this list. He doesn't reject the list by calling it BS. Instead, he buys into it and believes it as if it's factual.
Are you happy now, God? You made me look like this!
The main problem here is the lack of self-love. But there is this part of the episode when he gets some sense knocked into him and encourages the other kids that also feel ugly to snap out of it.
You know what? Screw this. We aren't ugly. Maybe we all just need a little image change, you know? Like a makeover.
I think this is some great advice. I can recall a couple of moments in my life where I didn't want to look at myself in the mirror, but after a simple haircut or after a good workout, I immediately felt better about myself. It's little things like that that can bring your confidence back up. Of course, you could argue about the advantages of those folks with model-like physical features who don't have to try as hard to get choosing signals, but I don't want people to get the impression that those types of people, usually the popular kids in school, have life simply handed to them. Not only is that a terrible mindset to have, but as Abraham Lincoln points out in this episode, that's not true. There is another side to their story. The moments when their ability to create or to express themselves in ways that have nothing to do with their looks is put to the test. And since some of them grow too reliant on the physical part of themselves and not so much the mental, that only hurts them in the long run. Then there are those individuals who, growing up, never received any form of validation from others about their looks, and they had to fight and work extremely hard to finally receive any form of attention or recognition. You might think this isn't fair, but this obstacle actually helps these people reach high levels of success because they're too busy focusing on their passions in life. And what do you think happens because of this? They eventually attract friends and relationships that go deeper than just looks. We want to be thought of as attractive by the majority of people we run into because we want more girls to like us. Or if you're a girl watching this video, we want more guys to give us validation. But let's say, for example, you were considered the hottest guy or girl in your school. So you get the sex and validation easily and effortlessly, and you think that's the dream life, but you're sadly mistaken. You see, because you've lived your whole life spoiled, unsatisfied, and haven't stayed disciplined, it leads you to making foolish decisions. And it isn't until you finally reach your 30s and your looks start to fade when you finally realize you've done absolutely nothing meaningful in your life so far than hook up with a bunch of men or women, and none of them were wife or husband material. At the end of the episode, when Kao is given an opportunity to see the real results of the list the girls made, he burns it. Why? Because it doesn't matter what people think. Even if you think you are the most ugly person on the planet, I can almost guarantee you there are multiple people that will find you good looking. All you have to do to attract those people into your life is to start believing you are attractive yourself. You are not giving your body or yourself enough love. There is no way you should rate yourself anything lower than a 10 out of 10. If you want other people to accept your looks as they are, you must first accept yourself as you are. You don't have to believe you're good looking at first, but with practice and consistency of looking yourself in the mirror every single day and saying to yourself out loud that you are attractive, your subconscious mind will start to believe it. And it will be true, because this idea of ugly versus beautiful, it's an illusion. You are beautiful by default.